Hello and welcome to Political Chinwag. You're joining me, Scott, and Zoe. And today joining us is Bobby Jeffries. He is the founder of Right America, author of the book America's Paragon, and former Republican candidate for Senate. Hello, Bobby, and thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, it's great to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to come on.
I guess we can just jump straight in. I've got a few questions I want to ask you. Can you tell us about Right America and what its goals and focus are?
Absolutely. Well, Right America is a nonpartisan political advocacy group. It's such a tongue twister. I always say that the wrong way. No, but we're an organization that supports public policies that obviously want to move America forward in the right direction. Not really, ones that are. I mean, because really, the problems that we're facing are not right or left. They affect everyone and they affect everyone equally. So we're looking for pragmatic situations that are ultimately going to move this country and all of its people forward and into a much better place. So we support any and all public policies at the local, state, and obviously, especially at the federal level, moving into this new legislative season. So we're trying to highlight, good ideas and good proposals, and we have a new feature coming up where it's going to be people are going to be, you know, writing in their own ideas. Say somebody has an idea about a bill or something that we can use. We're going to highlight it and we're going to put it out there. We're going to put advertising behind it and get it out there so people can see it. But obviously, if there are good proposals and going through the Congress, on either side, because it's nonpartisan, and you know both. I mean, here in the United States, both parties have good ideas sometimes, but problems is these bills are just so big and we don't vote one at a time, which I believe that we should, because there's so many issues and obviously lots of other stuff's going on all the time. So we just want to make it easier for the American people to see that there are solutions, and we want to highlight people with good solutions. It can't be this horrible, very, very, drawn out, like, the boyfriend, girlfriend fighting, at each other's throats, like a bad soap opera. So, it's that kind of thing, and we believe in the Constitution. We believe in freedom. We have all of those ideals that founded this country. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do with it.
What is it that led you? What was the sort of pinnacle moment for you that thought I need to do something? And what led you to create Right America? Was there a particular incident, or was it just the state of politics as a whole at the moment?
Well, I like you said, I ran for office this last cycle. It's really more of like an exploration. We raised a lot of money. We had a great video that went viral. We did a lot of press. Um, I unfortunately was subjected to the consultant side of running for politics. So it was a really, really good opportunity to see how everything works, to talk to all the players. You see why a lot of these really good candidates. Not saying I was a good candidate, but a
Yeah, I'm
lot of
sure
these
you
really
were.
good candidates. Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. But a lot of these candidates who run have the best intentions. They have fantastic ideas, but they kind of get led in the wrong direction because of the money side of politics. Because really, I mean, it is a racket, and there are grifters everywhere. That's not to say that all consultants are like that. And I kind of knew I knew going in, kind of, but I had no idea how it would actually be. You raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's just all taken from you, and then it's just there on paper, and then it's gone. And then people like get out and they do other things, and you're really at the mercy because of these contracts. So going forward, I'm just if I ever if I were ever to go that route again, I know what to do and what not to do. But part of the reason why we wanted to create the nonprofit is I want to have something that I can use to, no matter if I'm running or not running, I can highlight fantastic ideas at all levels of government in all 50 states, and really try to support it and get some good attention behind it, because we have so many issues every single day, and I'm like a pragmatic, problem solving kind of guy. So many of these people are just so, they get so caught up in the minutia. I call it, going sideways instead of going forward. I'm a big going forward guy, but the right America, it's not. It doesn't mean moving America in the right direction. It means moving America in the morally right direction. Ronald Reagan once said, there is no left or right. There's only an up and a down, up towards freedom consistent with law and order, or down towards the ant-heap of tyranny and totalitarianism. Moving America in the right direction. Same as John F. Kennedy saying, let us not choose the Democrat answer, the Republican answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future. And that today, I think all those two timeless quotes, which I'd say in the modern era are the best political quotes we've had from any presidents. Um, in the last however many 60 years, but here in the United States, that's kind of that's why I chose the word right America, because we want to move America forward in the right direction.
And if it happens to be on the right side of the spectrum, that's always good, though,
This
isn't
is true. Yes, this
it?
is true. Yes.
I have to say, one of my all-time favorite Reagan quotes was, I think it's something along the lines of, "There's no scarier words than we're here, we're from the government, and we're here to help."
Oh, I know, right. His oh no, Reagan was the ultimate one-liner. I mean, he was the ultimate
Yeah,
one-liner
definitely.
before Trump. I'm really wordy. I'm kind of like JFK in that aspect. I'm very, very wordy. It's hard for me to do like a 40 character tweet because I just want to write a speech. You know, so it's tough. Trump's really good. Obviously, Trump's amazing at the one-liners too. He's probably the best out there. I mean, now I guess he has more characters than he had, obviously on Truth, with obviously the new Truth Social, probably a bit more, but still he's killing it.
I quite like Truth Social. Obviously, us being British, it's hard to kind of get traction because it is very Americanized.
Oh,
We
for
we don't
sure.
get the same sort of connection as we do on Twitter,
Hmm.
but I do quite like it. Talking of Trump, did you see today that I think it was Matt Gaetz nominated him for the speaker, didn't he?
Yes, I
I thought you had to be, and I honestly didn't know this, but I thought you had to be an actual elected member of Congress or something to be able to be speaker, but apparently you don't.
it can be anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I genuinely didn't know. I was like, I think he might be a bit busy come 2024 to be speaker as well, though, wouldn't he? Well, I'm sure he'd give it a good go.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk that Trump's going to run for speaker. That's how he's going to get back in. I think everyone should be focused on getting him back to the White House. We need him. Obviously, the United States need him. All of our allies around the world, you guys included, everything. Having a United States that's back on track. Not abusing our allies, which I would argue the current administration is doing that, especially with our European allies. You guys, I mean, we all got to be working together. I mean, Trump was fantastic with obviously working with the UK. You know, everybody in this freedom, this West Alliance, this NATO, even forging alliances and obviously new allies and countries that we thought that were hostile and our enemies. Trump was he's a fantastic deal maker. So I just think we need that again. And
I agree. I think that, you could arguably say that the world was a safer place as well. We didn't have any wars,
oh,
with Trump,
absolutely.
did we? The economy was doing better.
Oh, without question, and that's obviously it's obviously the whole global economy, not just us, but everybody. I always try to throw in there that I mean obviously we're all sovereign nations and everybody has their own stuff, but at the end of the day we're all puzzle pieces that connect to each other around the world too. I mean John F. Kennedy said that in 1962 when he addressed the United Nations, for the very first time, and it was at the time, the world was really ready to move in such a very, unique direction. Obviously, you had the Soviet Union. You had tyranny in the world as we have it today. But I would argue that then, as opposed to now, we were more prepared as a world community to actually move in a more stable and free direction. For all people, because we still have so much oppression going on in this world. I mean, it's terrible. You
No,
look at
definitely.
China, you look at these authoritarian countries, what they're doing, especially with these new emerging industries. Which, I mean, right America, we're really trying to push for all these new technologies, all these new industries, all of these new things being used in balance. You know. Obviously, so we can create a new generation of wealth, but also ultimately so they can be on the side of freedom and liberty and everything else, and not China and these authoritarian countries using them and showing the rest of the world, oh, they're going to be over here with this evil empire. I'm not saying they're an evil empire, but really what they're doing over there is kind of, it's like kind of like, the Empire in Star Wars. I mean, it's not good stuff, and obviously we need somebody
Definitely.
in the White House so we can, address these things, because apparently Joe Biden is completely controlled by him, and it's ever apparent. So,
I
you know,
think Nixon had sort of best foreign policy with China.
I mean, Nixon opened the door. I mean,
Mm.
that was such an emerging thing. When Nixon was in the United States Senate, and I mean, all the way during his years as VP with Ike being the president, when Nixon was the youngest VP at that time. Youngest VP in the history of our country. But Nixon's foreign policy with China was totally excellent. I mean, him and Kissinger were very, they were. It was obviously a very new kind of idea, to open the door, to China. You had, us installing a um, new government over there. I obviously they just in later years, the Bushes, the Clintons, they abused that door that Nixon opened, and now we're currently living in the aftermath of that.
Yeah,
You have
definitely.
the labor, we've lost obviously so many jobs here in the United States. We've lost so many jobs to the well. I mean, not to say that our economy shouldn't evolve. I mean, I do believe that it should evolve, but I also believe that some of the practices that they're doing over there to these people. It's not what a free and open society such as ours should be supporting. I mean, the slave labor, I'm not a fan. We have the kind of
I'm
technology.
glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, yeah. And so many members of my party, in the past, they would say, "Oh, oh, well, business is business and all this stuff." No, I'm not one of those kind of people. I'll never
No.
be one of those kind of people. Much like the stuff with what's going on with the FTX and all that mess that all these House members were involved in. I think it's disgusting.
So with the FTX thing, so I was on Twitter the other night, and I think I was on Timcast or something, whatever his name is, and I asked a question because they're talking about Ukraine. And I sort of said, from our perspective in Britain, there seems to be a bit of an, I don't know if it's an anti-Ukraine narrative or the anti-war in Ukraine narrative, because there seems to be a lot of upset about the amount of money that's being sort of, I wouldn't say pumped into Ukraine, but has been given to Ukraine, which is a lot of money, which I get, and I didn't quite understand. And I mean, there was a lot of a lot of replies. There's about 300 replies,
Oh yeah.
and the overall thing I could get from it was corruption, but I still don't truly understand it. So what people were trying to say to me was that the money that's been given to Ukraine is somehow being funneled back into super PACs to go back to the GOP and the DNC. Is that essentially what it is?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And back into the pockets of all of the, their lobbyist friends, their, all of their, puppet masters in Washington. I mean, and it's obviously it's taxpayer dollars too. And you got Zelensky coming over here begging with the tin cup out, please give. And so many members of my party, the Republican Party, are just, they're fine with it. And obviously that's been, kind of the policy in Washington for the baby boomer and silent generations, which is to make money however you can. And that's kind of been the norm in Washington. And, we're kind of seeing that play out right now with, what's going on with, the Kevin McCarthy thing and the speakership being, delayed because nobody wants to elect him. But many millennials in the Republican Party, and obviously the Gen Zs, and I'm sure many Gen Xers, we don't like this crony capitalism at all costs. Let's make money. Let's enrich ourselves. I would say this generation is a generation of public servants. And I do believe that, we're seeing this even on the Democratic side, even with the, AOC, Democratic Party, and some of these millennials, it was a beautiful thing watching Matt Gaetz and AOC talking yesterday, because it's like, there are many issues that we all kind of agree on because it's like a generational thing. And, the Republican Party, I would say, is kind of stuck in a little bit of the archaic stuff because, the baby boomer generation is still kind of hanging out. And my parents are boomers. I love boomers. I'm not saying I don't like boomers. I'm not saying I don't like Trump. I'm just saying we're kind of in a, we're in like a hallway. It's like we're in a transitionary phase where, one generation's kind of moving out and, a new one's moving in. But these practices, these crony capitalist, kind of tendencies, funneling the taxpayer money, whining about all these problems, and then, not using any of the money that you're taking from the people to actually solve these problems. That kind of stuff, that doesn't fly with me, and it doesn't fly, I'm sure, with you guys. I'm sure it doesn't fly with a lot of other young Americans. it's just not good. And Kevin McCarthy, I mean, he's caught red-handed in that. So anybody who says, "Oh, we have to start the session, we have to do it now," all this stuff, no way. I mean, no way. You can't say that as and be a responsible public servant and say such a thing. That stuff can't fly. I'm sure you guys don't want that to fly over there with the parliament either. I mean, I'm sure, and I'm sure you guys have those kind of old cronies who just want to make money and stuff it in their, they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
stuff the money in their bag, and you just can't do that. I mean, I'm a capitalist. I'm all for people making money, but I don't like monopolies, and I don't like the crony capitalism. Obviously, the people who are suffering most with the Ukrainian thing are obviously the citizens of Ukraine. They're the ones suffering the most, which is awful, and it's just a terrible situation.
No,
It's just,
absolutely.
and if
Well,
Trump was
well,
still president, it would not be happening.
yeah, I agree. I don't think it would have happened. It didn't happen through his entire premiership, did it? There was no Russia didn't make any move during his time. I think they did previously, and I think it was Georgia, wasn't it? They invaded
Yep.
prior to his premiership.
Well, Putin respected Trump, and obviously, he had very good reason to. Joe Biden's just, looking to
He doesn't
grift
give
on.
off strength, does he?
Not really. I mean, I was watching today. He's talking about the border finally, but he's falling asleep. You got, the vice president right there, looking like she just wants to smack him in the face to wake him up because he's.
I understand it is rumored that they really don't like each other, do they?
Oh, no, definitely not. I mean, remember that primary? I mean, that primary, she came out and she was saying horrible stuff about Joe and, the womanizing stuff, and nobody liked her either, though. I mean, if you remember that primary, Bernie was obviously the most popular Democratic candidate once again, but they obviously stole it from him like they stole it from him in 2016, which that was a beauty. That was like the very first, that was the very first steal. Big Hillary comes and just swoops in and steals it. This is mine. It's insane. But I remember that primary though, because you had so many of those candidates. You had Beto, I call him Beta O'Rourke in Texas because he's such a woke dumpster fire mess of a candidate. I think he just lost. What did he run for? I think he ran for. Oh, geez, he just ran for governor and lost. Nobody's going to elect that guy, though. I mean, it's a joke. But you had Beto, you had him, you had Pocahontas Warren, you had oh, who else? Man,
Do
I'll
you
tell
remember
you
her
what.
beer her beer tweet she did? I thought that was hilarious. That video.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That was so funny. No, the really funny one was when Trump was giving a speech or something, and then somebody's talking, and he says Pocahontas, and this woman's like, "That's very offensive," and he's like, "Oh really? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Pocahontas," and he says it again. It's so funny. That's just the funniest guy. Oh my gosh.
Talking of candidates, then who do you think will be the Republican choices for president this time round?
Trump. I mean, obviously President Trump. Very, very interesting to see, how the field is going to open up here. We have, obviously they're saying Ron DeSantis is expressing some interest in running. I think he's done a fantastic job in Florida. Obviously, he's the best governor we have in the United States. It's how all governors should be conducting themselves. But I think that he would do better for himself and for his career because he's a young guy. I mean, I think
Mm.
he needs to continue to serve in Florida and let Trump finish what he started. You had Trump's announcement couple about a month ago, right? And that speech was so iconic, it was so historic. Everyone says, "Oh, it wasn't that good." For me, it was the best speech because he said everything that everybody, he highlighted his agenda as everything that everyone wanted him to do when he was still in office. And it's more than just building the wall. It's more than just making America rich again. It's more than that. It's putting this country in the position that we can finally move forward again. I always said when Trump was president, make America great again so we can make America move again. And that is exactly what I believe that he will do. And he's the only one to do it. The Republican Party was a mess. Nobody cared about the Republican Party prior to Trump. Mitt Romney was a horrible candidate in 2012. He's a grifter. He's kind of like this archaic religious figure, that nobody could really relate with. He wasn't bringing in Democrats. He wasn't bringing in, our generation is very diverse. It's a very different generation than some of these other guys. I mean, we're never going to be as archaic as these older generations. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. I'm not saying like I'm not like I go to church every Sunday and all that, but I'm just saying, we got to start appealing for other reasons other than just, it's kind of like the Democrats. They play the race card. We have to stop playing these cards that are putting us in boxes. We should want the and I'm sure you guys want the same kind of thing, going on over there too. We want to grow. You guys probably just want to be, you know, national citizens. We're all puzzle pieces. We're all human beings at the end of the day. Obviously it's easier said than done. We have so many, you got so many people trying to throw all these divisions everywhere. It's horrible, but Trump will continue to move us in the direction to make the party bigger and, open the door for good candidates to come out and want to be good public servants. It's not like this guy had to ruin his life, ruin his fantastic celebrity.
He's pretty set up, wasn't he?
Like, absolutely. He was set up forever. He did not have to do this, and he did. And here we are, and we're all better for it. The world is better for it. I'm not saying let's worship Trump. Trump's God Emperor Trump. I'm not saying that. The guy's baby boomer too, and I don't agree with him with totally everything. I think there's a lot of stuff, but not everybody agrees with each other though. Like we'll all never agree. I kind of, I'm so sick of like kind of this horrible political climate where it's like, oh, you don't agree with one thing somebody says, oh, so you're not on the team. Like it's like football or soccer or basketball. And really, obviously the Democratic Party here in the United States, they're the ones who kind of push that kind of ideology. I mean, that's the woke kind of Democrat way. It's like, oh yeah, you don't want the green hair. We don't like you. We hate you.
It's usually
Oh,
blue
you
hair
don't.
over here.
Yeah,
Yes.
you don't snort the Tide Pods. We don't want to talk to you. Get out of here. It'll be a very interesting election cycle. It's going to be extremely interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm supporting Trump all the way.
Do you think? I imagine Ted Cruz probably go for another go. Do you reckon, or do you think he's done?
Ted. I think Ted Cruz will run for president again. I like Ted Cruz. He did a good. He's a great senator for Texas. Um, you know, Obviously, I supported Trump since the escalators in 2015. Ted Cruz was doing some. He was Ly apostrophe in apostrophe lion Ted. Holds the Bible high and then he lies, like Trump said. Um, he he was kind of a liar during that campaign, but I think he has redeemed himself since then. He's a great senator. Ted would be a great Senate Majority Leader as well. He's very smart. He obviously knows the Constitution, knows it inside and out. He might run. I would vote for a Ted Cruz later on. Maybe. Probably not though, but maybe. I don't know. Obviously, I would pick Trump, or obviously, Ron DeSantis will probably run for it next. And we'll see, because other people could emerge too. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe Rubio will run again. But people like Mike Pompeo, Nikki Haley, it's like, get out of here. Nobody's. They're kind of trying to bring in that bushy neoconness, like, oh yeah, we're trying to come back. No, nobody wants that.
There is a bit of a divide, though, isn't there? Now, especially over the speaker thing, where even the America First sort of Republicans, especially between, I know, like Marjorie Taylor Greene has gone
Yeah.
for McCarthy, and that's caused a bit of a rift between that group. Do you think that'll settle down afterwards, or?
I hope so. There's so much that we want to get done. Obviously, there's so much that they all campaigned on that they're gonna have to deliver on. I think that obviously my Congressman Scott Perry, the 20, obviously the other 19 Republicans. Their constituents and pretty much all Republicans here in America, we don't like what went on with the FTX stuff. We don't like the stuff that went on with Ukraine. While there are Americans who are hungry, there are veterans still living on the street. There are people with not adequate health care. Obviously, our inflation is terrible. Joe Biden has completely mismanaged and destroyed this economy. And we went through, two terrible years with Nancy, as speaker. Obviously, she was speaker before that too, so it was actually even longer. But we have all these problems to solve. So I would hope that members of my party would kind of come together. But you can't really get upset at these Freedom Caucus guys for doing their job, which is to say, hey, the system is broken. And Kevin McCarthy absolutely has been a part of all of that. I mean, he had the Ukraine flag in his pocket. I have nothing against Ukrainians at all, but when Americans are suffering, I mean, that was the whole point of Trump running for president in 2016, to move the Republican Party in, an America first direction. And I'm sure that you guys want that over there too. We should want that, but obviously, we have to come together at the end of the day, whatever, whatever. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. It's very interesting though with the Marjorie Green stuff. I would say, always follow the money and look where the money is,
Mm.
because
She also made some off comments as well about Jam 6 as well, which we spoke to Roger Stone about yesterday, which she shouldn't have done.
oh yeah, no, no, absolutely not.
Which
No,
which
she
doesn't do the other America First type Republicans any good, does it? Because everyone gets tarred with the same brush.
Yeah, well, because everybody, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And then, I mean, we're always going to get that though from these Democrats, though. I mean, here in
Mm.
America, we're always going to get that. I mean, these people, you say one thing that they don't like. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a misogynist. Oh, you're xenophobe. Oh, you're a terrorist. Oh my God, you're a terrorist. Actually, it was interesting. I saw that Dan Crenshaw called these 20, these 20 Freedom Caucus guys. He called them. He compared them to terrorists, which
Yeah, that was a
was,
bad choice of words, wasn't it?
oh my gosh, it's like,
I
oh
mean,
my god.
he's slowly been more and more becoming, based on what I see on Twitter and social media, that he's considered more of a rhino now than when he first started. I think a lot of people are disappointed with him.
Well, follow the money. I mean,
Mm,
all of the interests that support him obviously want the United States to go in that kind of hawkish direction. All the money goes back into the defense contract. All that kind of stuff. That's where
mm,
he comes from. Crenshaw, he's you're going to see the same stuff from him till obviously the money changes. But
yeah, of
remember,
course.
he also supported Liz Cheney too, so
Ooh.
not very surprising.
um, Zoe's got some questions for you, actually.
I do.
Awesome.
Um, so you've obviously written a book called America's Paragon. Could you
Yeah.
tell us about your book?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to, and I thank you for asking. Um, it So the book, kind of an idea. It started when I first came into politics. It's actually funny. I was on a Sean Hannity interview, and I was on Fox, featured on Fox. And then Roger Stone saw me on TV. He managed to hunt me down on Instagram, and I flew out there on Christmas Day in 2017. And then we became fast friends after that. And it's kind of an idea. He was driving me to the airport. The Obviously that following day he was driving to the airport in his Jaguar, his old Jaguar. Obviously he doesn't have one of those anymore, obviously.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately for him, anyway.
unfortunately, yeah, that was such a cool car. But no, we were just talking about kind of the similarities between Jack Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, and he knew Ronald Reagan and Trump extremely well. So I was kind of just putting that together, and I was such a Trump guy at the time, and Trump was just elected the presidency, and Roger Stone obviously wrote the forward to the book, which I'm very very proud and thankful for. He's my greatest political advisor and mentor. Love Stone, one of my best friends. Love him, love him, love him. I was with him through all of the horrible witch hunt, which we outline in the book, as well. In the beginning, right before the forward. But the whole thing about just Trump being an American president, and then I was just thinking, where have we seen that before? Okay, Ronald Reagan. We saw that especially the first 4 years of Reagan's administration there. We first got in 1980. He destroyed Bobby Bush in that primary. Why? Because he was an America First guy. I mean, it was pretty much the same kind of campaign that Jack Kennedy ran 1960. Make America great again. Obviously, with JFK, it was a time for greatness. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Standing up for the little guy, trying to move America forward, get the kind of conditions that are going to move us forward, going to make people's lives better. They're going to make people more productive. You know, have more meaningful lives. I mean, all of these things, these deep things. I mean, obviously, you really see that JFK, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump. I mean, and these are all people that the establishment of their time didn't like. We also talk in the book, we kind of compare that to, Lincoln. how kind of Lincoln and Trump have a lot of similarities. I mean, Roger says that, and very rightly so, that, Trump is the greatest president we've had since Abraham Lincoln. And in very many respects, I believe that's true. And I think as presidents, they're very, very similar too. I mean, people forget, why do we call Lincoln Honest Abe? We call him Honest Abe because at the time he was so brutally honest about everything that was going on. He created this brand new, political party, kind of like we've done here in the United States with the MAGA, the America First movement, to supplement a broken Republican Party. I mean, at the time, he supplemented a broken Whig Party that was dying. And you had Thomas Jefferson's Democratic Party that had completely gone to hell because it was, kind of like we have today, these old baby boomers, these silent generations, these grifters, these crony capitalists, these monopolies. We've seen this kind of stuff in history, though. Kennedy tried to do it, obviously, and you know, it's very interesting because I read a book one time, and I outline this in my book too. It's by Neil and Hal Strauss. It talks about how every generation is, we have all these architects throughout history. There's a hero, there's the artist, there's the nomad, and I'm drawing a complete blank right now. This is awful,
I
but
know what you're talking about, though.
but that greatest generation of Americans, though, that hero generation, that is what this millennial generation is. And I want to see us fulfill our potential. I don't want us to be, stuck in the backwash of history. So that's the whole thing of the book. So that is the template that I believe. Those three guys, and we talk about that. I talk about the founding, obviously, the founding fathers, how they were all very young men. In the prime of their lives, they didn't have just one, job that they did for 30 years that they hated, that paid them horrible money. They were Renaissance people. They killed their food. They hunted. They made things like. I'm just saying we got to get society, and as a whole world. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge technology guy. I love technology. I want us to continue to harness it and develop it and use it, but has to be a balance. We have to keep that, nature part, if we're truly going to reach our potential as a human species. But I throw all that stuff in the book. It's a really cool book. We throw a lot of cool stuff in there, and kind of I challenge everybody at the end. We have a rendezvous with destiny. I'll see you there. So, still hoping to see everybody there. We have I encourage everybody to read it. It's at americasparagon.com. Roger Stone's forward's really, really cool. Probably going to end up changing the cover of it. I actually made it myself. Kind of looks like a cartoon. I don't know. I made it during quarantine. I was stuck in Buffalo at the time. I was hanging out with somebody in Buffalo, so I was kind of stuck up there doing some, we were doing like podcasts and a whole bunch of stuff, and I was, continuing to work on this book that I started. Obviously picked it up and put it down. We made it really, really short and readable. Obviously for the campaign there, it was originally like 3,174 pages, or I'm pretty sure, yeah. And then I cut it down, and then it was only like 1,000 pages. And then, my campaign got the Times like, oh, Bobby, if you're going to run for office, you got to make this short so we can hand them out at the rallies and stuff. So we made so cut it down. But eventually, I will have my book that'll be my manifesto. My, move America forward. It's a new generation of leadership, all that stuff. Because I believe it. And we're so ripe at the time. I believe here in the United States, and obviously around the world. Obviously,
Mhm.
these old guys are moving out of the picture, and new ideas are coming in. I just want to ensure that we keep all the ideals that move you guys forward, that moves your guys' country forward, that moves us forward. We don't want these horrible mandates and these things for these huge companies that just want to rape and pillage everybody's wallets. Nobody wants that. We kind of got to get away, not to sound like a socialist, because I'm not. I'm totally anti-communist, 100,000%. I hate it. Communism is tyranny in all of its forms, including the technocracy that which would be us mismanaging our technology to the point where, we're letting these big companies. But it's funny in the book too, guys. I hate to, bring up the book again, but, Teddy Roosevelt in the United States was, in the same America First, leadership pool as Trump, Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, everybody else, Andrew Jackson, all of them, and the founders as well. Because remember, he broke up the oil monopolies, kind of like we have right now with these big tech monopolies. We need someone to do that. I actually have an idea. I have legislation. I could probably write a new book about it, but that's kind of coming. That'll probably be. But we need that. That's what we need right now. If we're gonna get out of this funk, because I feel like the whole world's in a funk. We're kind of at a very uncertain place. It's scary. You know,
Hmm.
there's so many challenges for everybody, but there's also so many opportunities. And part of the book, I talk about that as well. So many opportunities for us to seize. We just have to have the vision and the awareness to see it. So it's a good book. So I thank you for the question.
It sounds really interesting. So, how
Thank
long did it take for you to actually complete the book?
Took me a while because I started it in 2018, and then I picked it up and put it down and picked it up and put it down. Because I write for fun. I write all the time. I write all my own speeches. Whole thing kind of is like a speech. It's very much my opinion. It's very much an opinion piece. Um, the next book will be more, be my studious kind of Bobby Jeffries book with my picture on, the Barnes and Noble copy. Although, my book is available everywhere. It's available everywhere, hard copy, all the digital copies on all the things. Because I know people like to do that now. I just thought it was cool to like have a book,
Yeah,
like just
Yeah.
everyone needs it.
physically have a copy. I was like, it was like so cool, and to have Roger on there too. That was, dream come true for me. Very cool, but it took me probably, I would say, probably took me the longest to cut it down because, like, it's like your children. It's like choosing between your children, all your words, and I kind of, it's tough. But I mean, not that I have any kids, I don't. But I imagine it's something like that. But it took me, I would say, about 6 months to actually trim that thing down because there were so many.
Hmm.
And I did it for obviously for political purposes. Maybe someday I'll release like the whole original book, because it was just really, really long. Kind of like that, one of those Star Wars movies that are just like too long, and it's like, dude, it's like 2 hours. Shut
Yeah.
up, stop talking. You know, but like I said earlier, though, I'm wordy. I'm a wordy dude.
I must say there's quite a few similarities between you and Roger. Actually, I've noticed in regards, you
Oh,
both have a huge love of history. Is apparent.
oh, and he is the greatest encyclopedia of American political history. I'm very blessed to graced by his friendship. I'm very blessed to be his friend because he is a respiratory of knowledge. He knows everything. And it's just every moment with Stone is valuable just because you just learn something.
Yeah, the stuff he if because he said, "Oh, we've got an hour," because like he kind of had to scramble in between things yesterday to do the podcast with us. And if it wasn't set to that hour, honest to God, I think we'd still be sat here with him now.
Absolutely, absolutely, and he does so many things too. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I like him. He gets a lot of stick, and he will probably forever get a lot of stick, hasn't he? But I think he can
Well,
take it.
no,
Hmm.
he can take it. He's like Donald Trump says. He's a tough cookie. He'll be fine. He can take. He's rare. There's only one Roger Stone, and
I don't think there'll be another.
absolutely not. No way. Absolutely. Well, I don't know. My best friend Jacob Angles. I don't know. You guys should have him on the program as well.
It
Roger
has
Stone.
crossed my mind actually. It's the difficult part for us is actually getting hold of people.
Oh well, absolutely. Well, I'll put you in touch with him today. You got it. You
Oh, that'd be
guys should
cool. Thank
definitely
you.
have him on. They call him. Yeah, he's Roger Stone's mini me. That's what he was coined by Daily Beast. But he's kind of like he's always he's Roger's right hand guy. But he's I say this in the book too because actually Jacob wrote the afterword to the book. Stone wrote the foreword. Jacob wrote the afterword. But he's the ultimate protege of Stone, and he's very, very intelligent, knows what's going on too. He's the best. He's the best political mind of my generation by far, for sure. Here in America, of course. I don't know what's going on.
I don't think
You
anyone
might,
knows what's going on over here, even us.
No, I don't think any of us do.
We've had
well,
a bit of a turbulent. I don't know if you follow British politics, but we've had a bit of a turbulent time when it comes to leaders. We've had a whole summer of
you
leadership elections, and how
Hmm.
many prime ministers now have we had in this? It's three this year alone, isn't it?
Free, yeah. Well, free in 2022.
Yeah,
really very interesting. Well, have you
yeah.
guys thought about running for office ever? You guys thinking about it or?
I personally have. Yeah, I've put my application in for Conservative Party, but it's time, isn't it? It's a lot of effort.
It's so much time. It never ends, and you're always on the phone. And you'll always be raising money. But I mean, other than that, I would recommend it to anybody. I think you would do a fantastic job. Just because you're really, I mean, I can just tell you're a fantastic listener, and that's very important too. So many of these people just want to be like, they just want to either hear themselves talk. I mean, everybody likes to hear themselves talk. Let's be honest. You know,
I really do. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, who doesn't? So do I. But you listen and you're very like, you weave in and out of issues. You look at different perspectives. That is what a leader needs to do. A leader has to lead for everybody. You can't just lead for the people around you or the people who agree with you. And I can already tell that. And I feel like that's what this generation of human beings. I want to say Americans, but obviously you guys are in the UK. I want to say human beings. This generation, we've just been kind of indoctrinated, for better or for worse, to be more, collective, like, together, where it's more me, me, me. It's not so we. And
I mean,
that's
if you
why,
if you if you didn't rebel in 1776, we could still have been together. Could have been one big.
oh, I have to confess, I like how things turned out. It's kind of cool. Yes, together. In so many ways they were together, though. I mean, you look at World War II, you look at, you guys have Winston Churchill, obviously fantastic. We had FDR in World War II. Um, Kind of like the world power changing, though. I mean, we talked earlier about, the changing of the money hands. I mean, look at that, though. You had obviously England as the superpower, kind of handing it off to the United States. But, in that way, it was like we were partners and we were both on the side of freedom. uh, Obviously now they're saying that China, let's poke the bear, let's
Yeah, I
it's
keep hearing
China.
that as well.
Mm.
All
Yeah.
these boomers have put this money into China. They're putting it in the bushies, especially in the Republican Party here in Pennsylvania. That's that Dan Crenshaw, that kind of rhino, what we call rhinos, the globalists. They put that money in that basket because they want to get a return on their investment. But if that were the greatest generation, in this country, if that was FDR, that was Winston Churchill in your country, they wouldn't be doing that because they had a greater sense of patriotism. They had they had honor. They were public servants. I mean, obviously they weren't perfect. I'm not saying FDR was perfect or anything. I would have voted for him, obviously, but you know Ronald Reagan was a big fan of him. He said, "Well, I'm a Republican now, but back then I'd be voting for FDR." But now I just think we're moving into that time. But we need people to everybody needs to run for office. If you have ideas, you have the obligation to share them with other people. You can't just keep them to yourself. I mean, obviously, we live in a free country, free world, whatever, you can do whatever. But I just feel like we're obligated to do it because somebody has to.
No, I agree.
That's how we're good public servants. I mean, John F. Kennedy said you
Mhm.
could be a good public servant by just, you know, being a good guy or girl, going to work, doing your thing, shoveling your neighbor out. Your neighbor hurt his back. Oh yeah, shovel him out if it snows or something. Something like that. We can always. I mean, I know that sounds so cliche and kind of, so like, oh, it's so easy. We can all do it, but really, it is easy, and you just have to make the effort. That's part. You look at what's going on with American politics today, why everything's horrible, why you guys are in your tumultuous position. It's just because people don't do the simple things. They forget to, or they're too proud to. They think they're above it. You're never above anything, no matter what office you get in, no matter how much money you have, no matter what you believe in or don't believe in, or love or don't love. I'm so sick of all. I mean, I know I'm totally ranting now, but I'm just totally. You know, I just think we're sick of that. We're moving in, a different kind of direction.
You seem like you have a social conscience, which is a good thing, I think, for
Yeah.
politicians. I think that's one thing we're lacking. I think people forget why they're there, and like you say, they are public servants. They're not there for self-interest, and I think that's a big issue with politics today. People are getting into it to see what they can get out rather than what they can do for society.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many other ways to be famous now. You got TikTok. Although I don't like TikTok because that's evil communist.
CCP, yeah, you can't get near that. Yeah,
Not
I
a fan.
agree.
I do
I
not
agree.
use TikTok, and I'm still, and I'm actually one of the ones, because I'm an America First guy. So I never got verified on Twitter. I had to buy the $8 blue check mark. But you bet I bought it. I bought it. I bought that sucker, and I still love it. I don't care if it's fake. But no,
It's capitalism for you.
but it's you're absolutely right though. There's so many other ways to be famous. There's so many other ways to get that attention. Because everybody likes attention. It's nice. But these politicians, especially using it to get rich. I mean, you see that with the Nancy Pelosi generation, that Joe Biden generation. I mean, it's the silent generation. You see that with them. You see that with, I mean, really, you see it with a lot of people too. You have MTG, who was fixing the stocks, making money off those stocks. Probably, I saw that the other day. I like a lot of the things she says, but those kind of things I'm not a fan of. You shouldn't be doing that. You know, if I would, I mean, when I was running for United States Senate, I was talking about, obviously having legislation so nobody can do it, your family can't do it. shouldn't be able to do it because you have that knowledge that the American people don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
so many of these crony capitalists and the big corporations, they have that knowledge too, and then they control you. So it's like, oh yeah, jump in and make some money. But that just goes back to that honor thing, that dignity thing. We just don't have that in these older generations. It's just not there. Somebody like a Trump is rare. Trump saying like, we're gonna bring the industry back to the United States. We're gonna fix the tax code, the deregulatory codes. We're gonna bring it all back. He wanted to do that though. He was daring. Well, like what he did with the taxes was so genius. Same thing that Jack Kennedy did. Same thing that Ronald Reagan did. Um, the only thing was we didn't have the middle class tax cut because Paul Ryan and the Rhinos removed it when the bill came out of the House. Obviously, because they had their little pandemic coming up and they wanted to make as much money for big pharma as
Yeah.
possible.
Mm.
It is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. How that self-service is kind of there. And with Trump, he said, we're going to bring the money. It's so easy. We can bring the money back here. It'll be great. And, for 3 years, we saw it. It was fantastic. And it's so easy to do again. These Democrats are like, oh my God, we need carbon taxes. We have all these things. We got to give the government more money. Oh, we got to give the government more money. Yeah, because we didn't just have, 4 years of prosperity under a completely different approach. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you can just see through it at this point. It's so bad. It's just the big fash bash. That's what I call it. It's a fash bash with the Democratic Party. People like Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, all of these people, Adam Schiff, all of these people, they're just making so much money and it's disgusting.
Do you think AOC is going to end up the same way, or do you think she will carry on as she is? I mean, she's quite a character, isn't she?
Well, she's worth $35 million already,
Already? Oh, there you go then. Yeah, there you go.
which, I mean,
And what does a congresswoman get paid on salary?
well, actually, they just got a raise, so about 120, I'm pretty sure it's 120,000 for just a standard congressional member, and then obviously if you're in the leadership, pretty sure it's more for obviously
Whatever
uh,
role you take on.
whip. Yeah, you got the whip. You got all the different
Hmm.
committees. You get paid. Of course, you have to pay money to be on committees, though. You have to have the
Oh,
money raised.
really?
Yes,
Oh, I
to
didn't
be
know
on
that.
committees. Yes, so you have to raise the money to be on the committees. So that's kind of the thing. Like somebody like MTG, she gets all of her money from like the Truth Social people, the Trump base. So that's why she has heavy interest in doing whatever like a Trump would say because that's where she gets her money. Some of these other people, independent wealth, you can kind of do what you want, but ultimately though you have to fall. They say they say you have to fall in line, with the party leadership so you can get on committees and obviously further your career. So they'll want you to run for higher office. I mean, it's basically like high school or college in Washington. I mean, I've been around it. I've spent a lot of time in Washington. Um, and I love Washington. I have great friends in DC. I mean, I love it. I can't wait to live there, and I will when we run again, whenever that'll be.
it's
But
it's on my list of places to visit. I must say,
oh, it's
historically, it's an
beautiful.
amazing place to visit.
Anytime you want to come, I'll be your personal tour guide. We'll
Oh,
get we'll
brilliant!
get Roger. He'll tell you about all the historical places. He'll be like, this is the Washington Mon-" It'll just be, it'll be really good. But I'm a big history buff and I love it. I've done the tour of DC. I go to all the museums. I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you need somebody to go with you guys, I will absolutely go. And we'll get a burger at Old Ebbitt Grill. They have the best burgers in town, delicious, timeless place. Abe Lincoln used to go hang out there. It's been around forever. I love the history of Washington, though. I mean, yeah, it's turned into such a cesspool. And
Mm.
you got all the swamp monsters on K Street with the lobbyists and all that, but everything can be turned around. Just like I'm sure with London. I mean, you guys got some pretty bad hombres there in London, England. In your financial district. You guys have the same kind of stuff that we have, and I think generational thing. And you mentioned AOC. Obviously, I'm not a democratic socialist like AOC, and I don't even think she knows what that means. I think
I'd have to agree with you on that one.
it's like a glowy term. It's a glowy term. Like she's saying it just to be like, oh, look at me, socialism's so cool. Oh, let's make everything free. I mean, but that's kind of like some of these Republicans saying that's like some of these Republicans like with their kind of like archaic things that like trying to force everybody into a box. Same kind of stuff, but obviously America is center left or center right. And obviously, I don't do the left or right stuff. There's the Constitution. You're either free and you have the liberty to live the kind of life you want and access the infinite potential at your fingertips to ultimately move yourself and everyone around you forward, or you're not, and it's restrictive. So somebody like an AOC, I don't know, because you have to follow the money. And I know, she's been to the Met Gala, she's done like all these things. I mean, she's obviously she's going the celebrity route, but I don't think she's like Obama at this point. I mean, Obama grifted like Bill Clinton when he was in there, and now look
Mm.
at
He's
oh
pretty
yeah,
noted.
I'm worth what, like what's he worth, like $600 million or something? I think it's like some absurd number like that. It's like ridiculous. Me and Michael were worth all this money. Everybody thinks Michelle's gonna run though. Everyone thinks Michelle's gonna run.
I was gonna ask you that. I keep hearing that a lot, and from a lot. I
Yeah.
think even Roger said it as well. A lot of people are saying it.
He thinks so. Yeah. I mean, they're going to need something else. I mean, Joe Biden today talking about the wall. He's like, "Oh yeah, the MAGA Republicans. Oh yeah," and he's like, falling asleep and like. I mean, I don't even know if it's him. I think they have like a couple guys playing him because he's so sick and old and demented with the dementia. I mean, that's awful though. I've had relatives that have had it. I've had,
Oh no,
you know,
definitely,
I
definitely.
mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. But, with what he's done in 57 years of service, you want to talk about grifters and self serving. I mean, he wrote the book for his generation, for the Nancy Pelosi people. And I mean, it's like organized crime. It's unacceptable. So for these Democrats who are like, oh, you have to feel bad for him. It's like, no, no. The people can critique, the those of whom they're employing, to do a job, and you're meant to do a job. And if you're not doing it, people can say whatever they want about you. So no, I don't feel bad for Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden is a mess. We got to get him out of there. But, it'll just be interesting to see who they put up, because Michelle is very popular in pop culture amongst all the sports. She'll be a tough candidate to beat.
I agree.
Yeah.
I can genuinely see it as well, because I was
I don't
reading
want
that
her
she's
to
done all
run.
the same things that Obama did leading up, bringing out her book, getting her persona up, getting out there, getting on shows, staying relevant.
She
Um,
has the clout. It's like, I call it, like, it's like the LeBron James thing. It's like,
just
she's
less China connections, I hope.
oh, well, she has a lot. I mean, obviously, I want the Republicans obviously always to win. I'm a Republican, and I want Trump. I think Trump will beat her, though. I mean, obviously, like, I mean, granted, we don't have rigged elections, obviously, because we have to remember that that's always a factor. Our integrity of our elections, they might steal it again, because everybody thinks he won in 2020, and the guy was selling out stadiums. Even more so than 2016, he got bigger. I mean, he's still big. He's still as big as he's always been. Trump, I feel like, the majority of the country is behind Trump. And really, people don't understand that Trump got maybe like a lot of old school blue dog Democrats to become Republicans, America First Republicans. So that's what a lot of these people don't understand. Without Trump in the party, you're going to lose a lot of people like me who are JFK guys, or like a Ronald Reagan guy. I mean, I talk about in the book, my grandparents, they chose the most patriotic candidate. It wasn't a Republican thing. That's why, they're both dead now, God rest their souls. But, I always said they would have loved to see Trump in 2016 at those rallies. I mean, he was electric. He was a rock star. But more so than that, it was the ideas, it was the atmosphere. That's that spirit, that American spirit that's been there since, sorry to say it, but since we broke away from you guys. Uh, you
It's
know,
your loss. It's your loss.
and you have it too. I mean, with I'm sure it was a very emotional time. The Queen passed, and she was such a giant in history. And she did so much for everybody. And when she died, I paid the tribute, and I did all that too. And I put up pictures of her with Kennedy, Reagan, and Trump, because
I did see those actually. I did a bit. I did go through your
yes,
profile and saw those. I quite
yes.
liked that.
Yes, I had obviously had my media guy clip it, because I'm horrible at, doing the cropping and the copy and pasting and all of this
Yeah, we're the
posting.
same. That's why our friend Jordan, he does all
Yeah.
that. So you always need someone like that on your team, don't you?
Well, you guys are lucky. Maybe you can rent them out to me sometime, because I'm awful. I do it all myself, and I kind of have a media guy now, but with the Right America. But with the Bobby Jeffries personal profile, it's like a dumpster fire. It's awful. But you guys have that spirit too. It is there with you guys in your own way. You guys have it. We have it. I mean, not like ours is better than yours. It's not. It's the same. It's just obviously our sovereignty, your sovereignty. I don't look at it like, oh,
Mm.
we're better than anybody else. No, I don't. Just obviously these countries that they live you live under a totalitarian corrupt society. Obviously like the Chinas of the world. We have so many others. Really North Korea too. I mean, Chairman Kim, even though him and Trump fell in love, I mean, some of those people are being held back. It's tough. I mean, even Vladimir Putin. I mean, I'm not a fan of Putin and how he treats his people either. I believe in a free and open society. Um,
Yeah.
not classical liberalism, really. And classical liberalism, Trump brought back with the Republican Party, and these rhinos are trying to throw it out because they want to continue to be crony capitalists forever and grift forever. Like Liz Cheney and her father at Halliburton, Dick Cheney, President Dick Cheney, right? But
Yeah.
you know, not to not that I have anything against anybody, but I just we just don't want to go in that direction. We want to choose people over politics. We want to choose the welfare, not saying like the welfare like a welfare check, because everybody needs to earn their own living. I mean, when John F. Kennedy was running, when Bobby was running in '68, he was talking about the decency of every. Bobby and Jack Kennedy wanted to fix FDR's New Deal and kind of evolve it so we would have more accountability. So welfare would be a crutch and not a lifestyle. But when Jack Kennedy was killed and Lyndon Johnson took the Great Society, Stone talks about this in his book too, and I encourage everyone to get the Stone Zone or the Stone Zone. The Man Who Killed Kennedy by Roger Stone. Best book on the subject, JFK stuff. Best in the world.
I'm
I
actually reading it at the moment.
Oh, isn't it amazing? It's
Yeah, I really like it. It's and in a Roger Stone style is always appreciated.
Oh, and he is so meticulous, and he researched the heck out of that, and obviously he knows all the stuff too. It's just the best. But what I was saying about the Great Society, Jack Kennedy's his new frontier was really gonna. It was a domestic policy and a foreign policy that was going to fix the New Deal, and it was going to fix all of the foreign entanglements that we were in. Obviously, previous to his presidency. Because Ike was a good guy too. I mean, General Eisenhower was a he was a heck of an American. Kennedy knew him for many years before that. I mean, JFK was moving America in the right direction, moving the world in the right direction. These other interests, they don't want to move it in that direction. Not saying like, it's not like a conspiracy or anything. I'm just saying, stuff that's been here forever, greed, selfishness, all of these things, the worst of humanity. It's not like some big, conspiracy. I'm not like a glowy on 4chan or anything, so don't think that. Because that stuff's kind of that stuff's like an op too, and that's kind of like trying to lead everybody in the wrong direction. You can't invest too much into anything. You always have to question everything. You always have to be skeptical. I mean, I value intellectual stuttering mode, tongue twisting mode, but I value intellectual curiosity more than any other human trait. I think it is the most attractive human trait. I think it's the human trait that really allows us to develop ourselves, not only intellectually, but in our lives too. And you got to be confident about it. It's
Hmm.
it's good. And the best kind of leaders, Trump, just moving that forward with the 2016 thing. He was, and when Trump was running in 2016, I mean, ask Roger Stone. He was saying the same stuff he was saying in 1988. The United States is taken advantage of. It's awful. It's terrible. I mean, and I'm sure you guys are getting taken advantage of in many ways by your leaders too. I mean, it's always been there, and it's kind of we just don't want it to go away. So I feel like that's what is kind of going on here in the United States right now. You kind of got push and pull. These guys are trying to take their show back, and we just can't give it back to them.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Talking
not
of
good.
Trump again, actually, and going on what tomorrow is, what are your thoughts on the Jan 6 stuff and the subpoena being withdrawn for Trump?
Well, the whole thing is it's very concerning. The whole thing is very concerning because it's obviously a breakdown of our justice system. You have people who do horrible things in this country, and it just shows that we have a two-tier justice system. We had a DOJ that was completely weaponized by the Biden administration. I mean, this new Congress and the Republican Party, we have to look into this stuff. I mean, somebody like me, I've seen the Justice Department weaponized against an individual for political purposes. I watched the whole Roger Stone thing. I saw his whole family get bankrupted and destroyed, for his political affiliation, for his, just knowing Donald Trump and all that stuff. I've seen it. I know it's real. It's not good. It's not good that they can do that. Now they're doing all of that, obviously, with that whole thing. I mean, I don't support what happened with obviously, violence is never acceptable in any situation. you know I believe people can protest and we can say whatever we want because we have free speech. Even
Hmm.
if it's wrong, even if I don't want to hear it, please say it. I will defend somebody who wants to be in public office. I will defend your right to say it even if I disagree with it. I don't care. Um, but that kind of stuff, I mean, it just shows that we have a complete breakdown um, with our judicial system. I mean, it's crazy, the conditions those people are being put in. It's, I mean, the whole thing. I mean, you saw him on television. You saw the whole, letting him in. It's kind of, is it a staged event? I don't know. Who knows? But it's disgusting. And those people. I hope that Donald Trump, if he gets the presidency back, I hope that he addresses that, because the fact that he hasn't is kind of, it's not a good
Mm.
look at all.
Are they still in prison? The people
Yeah.
that were
Oh
arrested.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
horrendous, isn't it? I mean, the QAnon guy with the buffalo horns was
Well,
hilarious.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
I I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. I was in Washington when all this transpired. I wasn't there. I was, elsewhere in DC. I didn't even know, like, I didn't even know about all this stuff till like later in the day. It was awful. I mean, obviously I wouldn't have gone anyway. I'm not a
Yeah,
big
you weren't like rifling through Pelosi's drawers and her desk and stuff, were you?
no way. No way, no way. I don't like big crowds. I mean, if I'm speaking, I like it, but I mean, I wasn't trying to, be a part of any of that. I was, not a part of any of it, and I don't want to, put myself into any of that. Not for political purposes, but just because, kind of really not my scene. Not a good protester either. I mean, I've protested before, but I'm really bad at making signs, like I said earlier, because I want to write. I kind of put myself at a disadvantage, so I try to like avoid those kind of situations because it's kind of like those people who have to like touch the wall a million times before they like leave a room.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Like, if I had like a sign and I didn't put what I actually wanted to say on it, I would just be like mortified at myself all day. So yeah, trying to avoid those. But,
Fair enough.
the whole thing is awful. It's terrible. Joe Biden is disgusting. I mean, his son, they're disgusting people, disgustingly corrupt. It's more than just corruption too. It's way more
Yeah,
than that.
the
And
Hunter
everybody knows.
Biden stuff is out
Mm.
there, isn't it? Like, I don't know how somehow they've brushed that under the carpet.
I mean, I don't know what's exactly on there. I have no idea, but it's
I mean, if we can see Trump's tax returns, surely we can see what's on that laptop.
and I love these Democrats too, whining about tax returns, but yet they whine about taxing the rich, and it's all of them, and none of them pay taxes. So it's like kind of ridiculous. I mean, for me, I mean, I do believe in taxes. I believe in a fair tax. I mean, it's really interesting though. Donald Trump, this is one of the reasons why I love Trump so much. If you read the first book he ever wrote about politics was The America We Deserve. Roger Stone was his chief political advisor at the time. He was very much responsible for a lot of that book. And getting that out of Trump, because Trump really sat down to write that book because it was the first foray into politics. Trump talks about a net wealth tax for people like him, how we could pay down the deficit here in the United States through a net worth tax, one time a year, every single decade. You pick the year, you schedule it around all your stuff. I think that's a great pragmatic idea. As somebody wants to run for office here, that's something that I might, bring up or encourage others to bring up, even with our Right America, because that could be a great way to actually balance the budget, because it seems like these people don't want to do it. Now it seems like they're trying to crash our currency. They're trying to, inflate the hell out of this currency and destroy it. Obviously, they're trying to move us onto this digital dollar. The CBDC, everyone's trying to do it. And obviously, China owns all the data. Let's put China in charge. I don't like that, though. We shouldn't want to have United States. Freedom needs to be in charge. Free countries like you guys, not China. These Democrats are just too owned by China. It's these baby boomers, it's these silent generations in the Congress. I'm not saying like they're bad generations, and don't get me wrong. And like with all your audience, I'm not trying to disrespect any of my elders. I respect my elders, and normal people are fantastic. Our elders in normal society are great, but their fellow generational members that have been elected to public office are just not, like, obviously the most dishonest people on earth. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. But there's just so much that we could do. there's just so much, and I really hope Trump really gets back in and really, gets to employ all of the stuff that's in the tank. Because you remember when he was in office, all those years. I mean, he was fighting the Republican establishment, he was fighting the Democrats, he was fighting the obviously the corporate news media, the legacy boomer media, which I call it. Um, and it's like citizens are the media now. I mean, that's how we have to get it. I mean, kind of like with Elon Musk taking over Twitter, which I
Hmm.
I think he's done fantastic things because he obviously believes in free. I love Elon. I mean, really, I think it's not just because I'm a millennial and oh yeah, Teslas are cool and all that stuff. I mean, and they are cool. I think Teslas are awesome. It's an American made car, so that's also a plus. But I'm not against diesel stuff. I'm for whatever you want, whatever should be whatever is the cheapest option for the American people. That's what these politicians should be saying. It's not, how can we make so much money for these people? It's just disgusting. It's
No, I
awful.
agree.
You
The
know.
Elon
Hmm.
thing, though, I mean, I think he has done a good job. I think it's slightly starting to tail off because things are kind of going a bit weird again with Twitter. Um, some people I follow who've got big followings are starting to not receive direct messages or see other blue tick people. And certain things are kind of being shut down.
Yeah.
But it's great to see some people back on Twitter like Roger. Laura Loomer as well. She's been giving a lot of people a lot of stick the last couple of days, which is always entertaining.
Who, Loomer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very good friend of mine as well. No,
Uh,
Laura, you see her last night. Fantastic job going to the Capitol Grill, calling out McCarthy's buddy, that lobbyist, whoever that guy was, going to have his.
AOC basically ran away.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. She's running away. She's probably going to buy a new Prada. She's running away to go buy a new Prada bag at the mall or something. I mean, these politicians are awful. And then you see it in there. It was good to see her talking to Gates though, just to get the dialogue going. Because even, I mean, I'm sure even those Democrats, they can't stand some of the stuff that's going on. I mean,
Yeah, of
if
course.
she partook and I'm misspeaking, then I apologize, and then she's awful and it's terrible. But otherwise, if she's trying to be constructive in a little sense, it's good. But absolutely, Laura Loomer back on Twitter is fabulous though.
Yeah,
Because
she's
she
good.
was
It
Loomering everybody back in the day too. It's good to have it back for sure.
it's you think. I mean, it was 5 years ago. She was handcuffing herself to the headquarters, wasn't she?
I know.
No.
I remember that. Yeah.
And now she's back. I would like to see Milo back. Milo Yiannopoulos. He was quite a
Oh, Milo,
provocateur,
yeah.
wasn't he?
He
Um,
was. Milo used to say a lot of stuff too. I don't. I'm not. I wasn't a fan of his recent developments, but it would be
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
No, I know what you mean about that. Yeah,
He was a very he. I mean, he's always been funny. He's very entertaining, and he's a very smart, intelligent guy too. Milo. I mean, he was deplatformed a while ago, wasn't that? That
yeah. A long
was
time. I think maybe even before Roger, or maybe just after Roger. It's around the same sort of time, I think.
No, Stone was first, yeah, because
Was it?
Stone lost his Twitter. He still doesn't have as many followers as I mean, he had like 800,000, I think, at his. But I mean, obviously, he's going up very quickly.
Yeah,
But
it's unbelievable how quickly that shot
oh,
up,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
he's huge. It's huge. It's huge. But obviously, we want him to get back and then surpass that. I mean, but people love Stone. I mean, he just did his best dress the other day. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
You
we,
have
we spoke about that actually. I love
yeah,
that dress
that's
best
awesome.
dress thing. It's really good. And
Unbelievable, and he knows everything about clothes too. So it's
yeah,
just
sartorial wise, he is very good, isn't he? He's a stylish guy.
impeccable. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the guy has the best closet you've ever seen in his life. It's impressive. It's like going to Brooks Brothers. It's impressive.
We're
Um,
going to end on a random question.
okay.
We ask all our guests this. Although we forgot
Yeah.
to ask Roger yesterday, but I'm going to have to message him and see if he can give us his answer. But uh, I don't know what you call it in America. We asked what people's top three biscuits are. But I guess you guys just say cookies. We couldn't work out what you would say because I think biscuits to you guys is like a scone to us.
Scone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like those things at Starbucks. Yeah, that are like hard. Yeah. Oh, you guys call
Yeah.
them. That's interesting. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so biscuits like us, like a digestive biscuit, or an Oreo would be a biscuit to
Like an
us.
Oreo.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay. I haven't had an Oreo in years. I love Oreos though. But, no, my three best cookies probably I would say chocolate. See, so I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania. So chocolate
Uh-huh.
capital. So best cookies ever. My mom used to work at the bakery when she was actually in what was she? It was summer before college or whatever. But she used to make them. They were much better when our kids when I was a kid. I mean, obviously everything was, but
Yeah.
chocolate cookies from Chocolate World from that bakery, the best cookies in the world. But second, I'd probably say Oreos. Third, I would probably say what are those ones with the little guy, the little Peter Pan guy, the green guy? Those
We have
fudge
no clue.
ones.
We're British.
We we don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, it's probably good you guys don't have those over there. I'm pretty sure they're
I was
like
going to say I can quickly Google it and we can find out,
I
but
wouldn't yeah, but I think it's like that little Peter Pan looking guy, the elf. But they're like the fudge crackers. Those are really good, but I'm sure they're bad for you and the artery cloggers and all that stuff. GMOs,
I
all
think
that
Zoe's on
stuff.
it. I think she's literally googling
I'm
it.
actually Googling it. I am.
It's so impressive. I probably couldn't do that because I got my computer up here for the camera, and I'm like a mummy right now. I can't even I can't even read
Do you know what? I
these.
mean, I'm a millennial as well, and I thought we're good with technology, but as I get slowly older, I'm finding things harder with
Oh yeah.
technology.
Oh well. I mean, remember it used to be a little bit better. We had
Game
Facebook.
Boys.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Game Boys. Everybody played
Yeah.
Pokemon on Game Boy. I mean, apparently Ash Ketchum is like kicked out of Pokemon though.
I
I grew
know.
up.
I'm
Yeah.
devastated.
Is that like a woke thing? Are they trying to
I
like
don't
make him a
know.
girl or
I
I
don't
don't know.
know because I feel like everybody loves Pokemon, so I don't feel nobody would have wanted that.
Nobody. I mean, even like I obviously haven't. I don't even know what's going on with it, but I saw it. I
Yeah, I
saw it
saw it
on
on Facebook, I
BuzzFeed.
think. I
Something.
mean, when I last watched Pokemon, there was only 150 Pokemon when I was a kid, and now there's like a million of
It's
them
like
or something.
9 million. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like so ridiculous. It's like it was so cool, just to have like all of them, and you know who they are, and like obviously
Yeah.
consumerism steps in, and now you have. Well, I mean, obviously they're trying to sell cards, sell toys, all that
That's what
stuff.
it comes
I
down to,
just think
isn't it?
it's horrible for getting rid of Ash Ketchum. That's
Yeah.
it's awful. I'd
Maybe
say it's un-American.
that should be on your
You guys.
agenda for Right America.
Oh yes, let's
Yeah.
bring back. Do it. Do it.
Cool. Have you found them, Zoe?
Are they called Keebler biscuits? No,
Yes,
well,
the
cookies,
Keebler
not
Elf.
biscuits,
Yes, the
obviously.
Keebler Elf.
Yeah.
That's who it is. The Keebler. I think Adam Sandler said that in one of his movies too. He was like the Keebler Elf. But no, yes. So the Keebler Elf. So that's third. So it is the Hershey's double chocolate cookies, and
Hmm.
obviously Oreos. Not like any of these other crazy Oreos or the peanut butter one. I'm not a big peanut butter guy.
Yeah.
Not even the double stuff.
I don't like those because because it's like it's too much of the sugar. It kind of gives me a little heartburn. So yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah, it's kind of probably too much. And like those mega stuffs give me a stomach ache, but just
I didn't even
regular.
know that existed.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
I'm now gonna go find some of those.
Well, I think it's like a heart attack every cookie. So those are bad. But if you're feeling brave, I mean, I love cookies though too. Like I'm such a fan. Obviously, my grandmother made really good chocolate chip cookies too. Obviously, my mother, she's anything she makes or bakes, I'm usually a fan of.
Yeah, homemade's
Obviously,
always best, isn't it?
oh,
It's not mass
nothing,
produced near where it's come
Yeah,
from. It's
nothing better, nothing
yeah,
better.
definitely.
definitely.
Absolutely, nothing better. It's always made with love. They say, right? Hopefully, we can make our government more. In your guys' government too. Hopefully, we can have that kind of thing, like made with love. These bills
Yeah.
are being spent with love instead of greed and these evil Bond villain type
Yeah.
personas. So we'll
I
see.
think governments just need to remember it's taxpayers' money they're spending. It's not government money.
Yeah, it's like it's
That's
not
always my biggest gripe.
it's not yours. You're
Yeah.
right. Absolutely, it's not yours. You gotta protect it. You gotta take care of it. And I feel like moving forward, I feel like that's going to be more. It is. It's like a millennial thing though, because we're used to working together. Even I'm sure in your country as well, guys. Um, we're just more inclined to work together. It's kind of like it takes a village, all that stuff, which sounds really cliche and stuff. It sounds really cliche, but in many ways it's true. And I think that that's why we're going to really see an uptick probably moving as we move out of this decade, as we settle into this decade and then begin to move out. I really, really think that there's going to be profound changes around the world. You know, with like these Elon Musk types, these innovators, these problem solvers, these Renaissance men and women. I mean, that's kind of the era that we're going into. And with our nonprofit, we want to encourage people to go that route. To be a Renaissance person, to be an idea guy or girl, to kind of move into this new society that's being built. It's going to be totally different. You look at these technologies, all of these things. We're going to see industries go away. That's why we have to create new ones. I mean, that's why it's on these policy people not to be making money, but to be ensuring that we can have thriving new industries. And that's why I say, in the book, we're at a tumultuous time of it's like this great transition. And I don't want to say this is a great reset. I don't want to say that because everyone will think I'm confident. I promise I'm not. But it really is a great it's a transition, and we have to bring the best of the old and combine it with the new. Why the heck would we get rid of cheap energy with the fossil fuels? We can't get rid of it. There are countries in this world who don't even have, any kind of transportation. People living in huts and villages. You have that in Africa. You have that we have that in Ukraine right now too. You have that everywhere. These people, the United States, England, we should be working together to work with all of these, giving all of these people a better life, trading with them. I mean, letting them be sovereign countries so we can actually have a fantastic trade. That's what Trump was trying to do. That's what Jack Kennedy was trying to do in 1962. Jack Kennedy said to the United Nations, Africa is emerging, Africa is new. We want to make Africa big. We want what they have. We have lots of stuff to trade with them. Let's do it. It wasn't an invitation for China in the United States, to go long after he was gone and then pillage and plunder everything and continue to hold them down. No, absolutely not. We don't want to do that. And I feel like that kind of sense, that kind of responsibility that I am my brother's keeper. Not to sound like Obama, because I know he said that when he was running for office. Nobody wants to be Obama's brother because he's proved himself to be a big grifter. He's a big grifter with a good 3-point shot. That's really all he is. But we are our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, whatever, and we are responsible for one another. And I think that's it's going to become more the norm. So, work in progress. I'm excited to see how it all turns out.
Thank you everyone for watching or listening to our podcast with guest Bobby Jeffries. You can check him out on social media. And yes, it's been great having Bobby on, and we're looking forward to interviewing Bobby in the future as well. He had some interesting points on Trump, JFK, the whole shebang. Thank you for watching. Please follow us, subscribe, like, and do whatever it requires on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Most importantly, please give us a rating if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for watching. Bye.